Welcome back to another episode of the FPL Sheeple podcast. After game week 15, where the template team did not play out so well and ended up giving many low scores for most of our content creators, we turn our attention to game week 16, where the main question this week is, do we now shift from Kane to Ronaldo, or we are on Ronaldon't? So that's what the pod is going to be about. And with the COVID cases hitting Spurs, it's going to be a very tricky game week to maneuver, especially for my co-host Donatello, who really got off to a flying game week because of Son, and now he's probably in a bit of a pickle when it comes to all of these problems with Spurs. So Donatello, what are your general plans? If we can start off with that.
Yeah, it's a very tricky situation, as you said. I got tempted um, with the thought of getting Ronaldo in the team because of his fixtures. Um, but yeah, I had to fight off that temptation. So spoilers. I'm just straight away gonna be Ronaldo for now because
Ah,
I intend on keeping Son. I know he doesn't have a match this weekend, but he has a fixture on Thursday. So if the Spurs squad is cleared for the match on next Thursday, I intend to have Son in my team. So, but yeah, for me it was quite tempting, but for someone who doesn't own Ronaldo, um, and has Kane in their teams, or even like Vardy um, in their team, it is definitely tempting. I completely agree with you. It's like and I feel it's like a direct move, like Kane to Ronaldo, because of their price tag. It's like a exactly lateral move that completely makes sense. So but for me it doesn't. What about you?
yeah, I mean, I also don't own Kane, and for me, I own Jamie Vardy, and so for me, I think I'm going to wait and see. I know Ronaldo is against Watford, and Watford are generally a very generous side, so
You mean
Ronaldo might.
Norwich?
Norwich. I'm sorry, I meant
Yeah.
Norwich, not Watford. Don't want to remember the Watford match against United. Sorry. But anyway, yeah, Norwich. So Norwich, I meant to say, were a generous side, and now they aren't as much. Uh, so I don't know. I mean, he might score a couple of goals or not, but I feel Vardy against Newcastle uh, is probably okay to have because I have other things to take care of. I had a really terrible game week, so I should probably solve the other issues rather than
Yeah.
change Kane. If I'm change Vardy, because if I had Kane, maybe yeah, it made sense for me to actually focus on that move because Spurs are not playing this weekend.
Yeah.
But I think since I have Vardy, uh, I can be okay with doing some other moves. Um,
Yeah, I completely agree with your approach, and I just want to uh, again, it's like this bandwagon that starts because the Tottenham fixture is cancelled. So you don't you have a player in Son or Kane who's not going to play, and then all of a sudden you start talking about Ronaldo. Yeah, I know, I get it that they have easy fixtures, but if your team is doing well in general, you don't have to go out of your way to take like hits and get that player in. You can plan really well over the next 2 or 3 game weeks. Make sure you have enough cash, and you keep couple of transfers in your pocket, and then you can go for make that switch. But for me, I just didn't really want to take any hits. It was as clear as that. So yeah, I also feel like people should you know avoid getting on these bandwagons. I mean, obviously he's going to score, no doubt about that. But if you have players who can do, who are in good form and can get equal amount of points, why do you have to get him now in the team? So that. Those are my 2 cents.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point as well because in the end, I think people have shown this multiple times. As long as you have players that score more points it doesn't matter what their value is or how
Yeah.
expensive they are. So it doesn't matter in the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, so anyway, so let's get down to business, and let's first take a look at the point about the template team doing really bad this game week. And again, it was a switch from, last week it was three at the back in the template team. Now it's again five at the back. And that's probably because there were some auto subs that led to this
Mm.
for sure. Um, and so in the end, I think for this template team, I think even this template team ends up having like 42 or 43 points by my calculations. So that was towards the low end of the score. When we take a look at the creator spreadsheet later, that's towards the lower spectrum. So it means that the template really suffered this week, and these weeks are bound to happen once in a while, because
Yeah.
you can't expect everyone from the template to keep scoring like whatever 10 points every game week. So yeah, it
Yeah.
was bound to happen one game week. It's okay. uh, as we can see here, I mean, uh, I have almost the entire template team replicated. I have 9 out of the 11 players, and I got a terrible score this game week. So uh, it's okay. I think the strategy is paying off pretty well in the long run, and
Mm.
I think we will have this, like, when we reach the midpoint of the season towards game week 19, we'll have a mini review of sorts to
Yeah.
see the long term effects of our moves. So right now, how what we are doing is every week we are following one content creator and making that focused move that the content creator suggested. Of course, both of us have that instinct to look for something that's a bit long term than just to go for the next fancy or shiny object.
Yeah.
So we will take a look at that in the mid-season review, where we see what the overall effect of these transfers were over multiple game weeks. So
Mm.
I think, and I I do keep checking these things from time to time, and it looks like, the picks that we've made, even you, for that matter, has paid off in the long run. Like over 2 3 weeks, it's always a net gain of like
Yeah.
10 15 maybe 20 points sometimes. So that's always good. So it's okay. This was, I consider, an anomaly, and it's just moving forward. uh, just picking the right picks, like one by one, is going to still be okay.
Mm.
uh, Kane did feature as a template pick. He was in 13 out of the 20 teams, uh, which means he was a really popular choice and people are backing him. Obviously, against Norwich, he was probably one of the better placed people or picks out of all the strikers, because um, uh, Vardy was not in good form,
Yeah.
and then Ronaldo is also, gives returns once in a few game weeks, and Kane was theoretically supposed to score a lot in these couple of game weeks, but that hasn't happened. Though I saw some highlights, and he seemed to be in good positions to score and almost score, but that in the end he didn't return. And now,
I,
with the Spurs fixtures being cancelled, he's not an option any longer.
Yeah, I feel this number of Kane in the template team is just a stepping stone for content creators to get in Ronaldo. So I feel
Hmm.
like obviously most of them are going to switch to Ronaldo this game week. So we will see a completely different template team next game
Yeah,
week.
I think some of them already had switched before they put out their content.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
they were already, I think, because on Tuesday night, Kane reduced in price, so he lost value, and on
Yeah.
Wednesday night, Ronaldo gained a point. So right
Yeah.
there was a point two difference, and I think people who were on the edge of having nothing in the
Mm.
bank went for him early, which is something
Yeah.
content creators do keep an eye out on. Is they are continuously checking if a player is going to drop in value or gain in value, and there are websites that will show you this. So
Yeah.
uh, For us as sheeple, all of this doesn't matter. We are not operating at those levels because we are waiting for content creators to give their moves and their opinions, and then we make the changes. So team value and price drops, price rises is something we cannot focus on or possibly try to beat because our format does not allow that. So
Right.
it's okay. I think we might maybe end up in over the long time or long term, we might not be able to pick a few players because we are short in bank value, but that doesn't matter, I think,
Hmm.
overall. Anyway, enough of all of this um, rant. Let's move on to the next part. Coming to the game week review. And so, as I said, disastrous game week for me, below even the average of the entire FPL. So I just got 39 points, and the average
Hmm.
of the entire FPL game was 43 points. My game week rank was 5.6 million, and I had a massive drop uh, to 246k. So,
Hmm.
but I think teams are pretty squished up together in ranks. So just 10 points here and there should get me back close to the 100k mark.
Right.
Uh, for me, uh, Trent got a clean sheet and some bonus points, so he got nine. Or he got an assist, I think. Yeah, so he got 9 points. Salah captain's 12, and Rafinha with five. Everyone else blanked. Uh, so yeah, so that's why just 39 points for me. I don't want to spend too much time talking about the last game week. I think I would rather just move forward.
Yeah.
So coming to the polar opposite of what happened with me, coming to your game week.
Yeah, I got 61 points. All thanks to two players in my team because the rest of my team was exactly similar to yours. So I got 61 points because of Bernardo and Son, 15 and 13 points each. I got Bernardo in last week to replace Rafinha, and that move really, you know,
Yeah,
worked for me. Yeah, overall 61 points. I went up to 104k in rank from 150k. Um, Smithrow didn't feature in that match, and Tony has is like tested positive for COVID, so he didn't feature. And Broja, who scored the goal, was my third sub. So yeah, I mean, I'm really happy with this haul because it really propelled me up in the ranks. Um, and Yeah, I think pretty happy with the game week. Looking forward to build on this.
yeah. So then next we go on to the creator team comparison. So this is where we compare the starting 11 of 20 content creators, and we take a look at which were the players that featured most commonly across these 20 teams, and try to see why certain teams got more points than others. So our winner this week is Andrew Ferguson, or Fergie from Fantasy Football Hub. He actually turned out to be the winner. I mean, except for Donatello, who is the true winner here, because nobody
Mm.
got as many points as he did. I mean, Bernardo was a genius move, man. I think not a lot of the others had Bernardo.
Yeah.
So yeah, so Fergie got 57 points, and he had Son mainly and Foden. That were the those are the two picks that set him apart, and that's why he was the winner for Game Week 15, and he'll feature as our Game Week 16 uh, create, creator of the week. So. Uh, Now we then take a look at the spreadsheet. So what we do every week is that we take the starting 11s of the 20 content creators, and then we compare these teams. So what we do is we first of all look at the game week points for these 20 content creators, their overall rank, uh, their captains, and then what we take a look at are the players uh, who featured in the starting 11s, and these players are arranged in order of the frequencies. For example, Salah is found in all 20 teams, so he's the first or the top player. And then as we move to the right, we we go to the players that are more rarely owned, and
Hmm.
then finally we get the players to towards the right, which are the differentials. Like for example, Ronaldo was owned by only one of the content creators. I mean, he didn't score big, but that sort of shows the differential picks. I think in many cases, I think Son was owned by just five players, five
Hmm.
content creators, and he was the real difference maker. And
Yeah.
yeah, so that's the spreadsheet. We link the spreadsheet in the audio and the video versions of our podcast, so anyone can take a look and take a look at which are the general players that these content creators are picking. It's sort of a hive mind of all of their collective thinking. So you can take a look at it, scroll around, and see the teams from all these content creators, and pick players that you find interesting. So yeah, so from this spreadsheet we take a look and take our create takeaways for every week, and we just talk about these takeaways in the next section. So first of all, why don't we start with your takeaways?
Sure. So, um, I mean, I this time I have only a few observations. First of all, is for some of the teams, or for some of the content creators, the midfield was the difference, because of which you know they grew in rank, and the difference was like I think only one of them had Bernardo, excluding me. Like one of them had Bernardo, four of them had Son, and only two of them had Rudiger, sorry, not Rudiger. I meant Foden, and then one of them had Gundogan, and one of them had Gray. So these scattered pieces, like of content creators, had these midfielders who contributed to their overall rank above average. So I think that was the difference this game week, because of which they managed to stay above in rank and defense, except Trent. All the defense was a letdown again. But again, yeah, we reaped the rewards earlier on, in like the 3 or 4 game weeks ago, where we were consistently getting 20 or 30, 40 points from defense itself. So it's fine, couple of game weeks without clean sheets, that works out fine, because the midfield is delivering. So that was my observation. Second second one is Mbumo's first returns for FPL. I guess him being called a nightmare FPL asset by FPL General last game week,
Yeah.
worked for him, and he decided to give an assist. Uh, so yeah, I mean, after like 14 game weeks, you give an assist is people. I mean, some of the content creators benefited from them. Like 5 points is better than 2 points anytime. So yeah, it was his first return for FPL, and I hope he keeps on delivering for whoever has him in the team. And finally, as usual, I like to look at the differentials, and this time it was three players who stood out for me. Bernardo Silva, 15 pointers. Only one content creator had him in the team, and Son, 13 points. Four content creators had in the team, and Demarai Gray with 9 points. He had a goal and an assist, I guess, or just a goal and then bonus points. So um, yeah, 9 points for him. So those were the differentials. Not too many this time, because because I think it was fairly template this time. Like everyone's team, and as we saw earlier on, the template did not work out for this game week. So that's why the differential number of differentials are fewer this time. So those are my takeaways for this week's spreadsheet.
Yeah. And then coming on to my takeaways, I generally try to look at what the range of points are and try to see why there is a difference between the low end of the range and the high end of the range. So this week, for example, the range of points was between 37 and 61. including Donatello's points, of course. So that's a difference of around 24 points. And I realized that Son and Bernardo themselves just cover 28 points. So that's in itself is the difference. Although Bernardo was only featured in two teams, one was Donatello and the other was Sam from the FPL family who had Bernardo. So it's only these two teams uh, that gained Bernardo's benefits, but Son was in five out of the six top teams in the spreadsheet. So Son, the 13 points from Son, set the top players apart from the others, and then it's like some points here and there from these specific picks that they had. So like Fergie, for example, had Foden, and
Mm-hmm.
then as you said, someone had FPL General. No, sorry, Mark from FF Scout had Gundogan, and always cheating Josh had Gray. So that's why these teams were in the top half of the game week points this week. And then apart from that, I can see that uh, mostly the uh, like people have a pool of these 12 players, and the template as we showed at the beginning of the pod, that's what they had. And there it's like that template gave only like 40-45 points to everyone. So
Mm.
that was the main difference maker this week. And then I again wanted to check what the average rank was for all the content creators so far. And it looks like from the other day or the couple of episodes before, we had checked the average rank, and it's not changed much. It's right now at 158k, and you, for example, are already outperforming this rank, so you're well within that. So you're playing better than
Mm.
the average FPL content creator. So that's amazing.
Mm.
And for me, I've sort of fallen behind a bit, because if we also take a look at the average points, it's 965, and I'm like 20 points behind this average. So I think I was bang average when we last checked this, and I've fallen behind the eight ball a bit, but that's okay. As I said, like 10 points here and there, and then I'm back in the mix again. And that should ideally happen. It's just game week
Yeah.
15 so far, so there's lots of time to catch up these points. Right. So that was something that I wanted to check this week.
Mm.
And let's see how we keep sort of chipping away at this average rank and average sort of score. And,
Mm-hmm.
I will try, the goal is to be at this average as long as possible, and then see if we can, break into the top half of these content creators.
Right.
So yeah, so that was my main takeaway for this week. Um, all right. So then, going to game week 16 and the creator of the week, would you like to introduce the creator?
Yeah, absolutely. This week's content creator is FFH Fergie. So he is a contributor to Fantasy Football Hub. Um, you know he is currently ranked at 167k. He's been playing FPL for 9 seasons now, and with a best rank of 715 in the uh, 2018 season. So he's finished in top 15k 3 times, and top 100k like 5 or 6 times. So uh, yeah, it's been I think it's a good seasoned manager, FPL manager here, who is getting featured on the podcast, and he hosts his own podcast. It's called the Green Arrow Podcast, and we listened to it today, on which he spoke about uh, you know top different like top players in each position, and then he also tackled the Ronaldo question, whether or not, also the question about King and Dennis. And I think you should take the floor and
Yeah.
tell us what he had to say.
Yeah. So I gave uh, the Green Arrow podcast a listen this week, and uh, it featured Fergie and Rich Clark, who's another really popular or famous sort of FPL player who's consistently uh, been amazing in the ranks. So he's not a regular FPL content creator, but he features on the Green Arrow
Mm.
podcast from time to time. So Rich Clark was with Fergie this time, and so Fergie was picking Rich Clark's brains and going through different picks and asking Rich Clark which are the good picks or not. So uh, Fergie did something very interesting. He took all the predictions of the Fantasy Football Hub website to take a look at which are the best picks or the picks that are going to get the most points according to the Fantasy Football Hub algorithm in the next 5 or 6 game weeks, and then to sort of went through each of the picks to understand which are the good ones. So starting with the goalkeeper. So with the goalkeepers, turns out that Allison and Ederson obviously are going. The algorithm says that they are going to score the most points, but they're expensive, so people don't usually go there. But since Robert Sanchez is one of the most popular goalkeeper picks, and now that Brighton are don't have a fixture this game week, and potentially it's going to be a problem because even other content creators has pointed this out that Lewis Dunk is now has a long-term injury, so Brighton defense is not going to be as strong as it normally is, and so Sanchez might not keep too many clean sheets in the long run. So there has been quite a lot of talk about replacing Sanchez, and even Fergie discussed this, and he also has Sanchez, and he really favors David De Gea um, as a replacement for Sanchez,
Mm.
even if it means that you have to take a hit to bring De Gea in, because De Gea has good fixtures, and perhaps the new manager solves the issue of the defensive problems first, and then United hopefully get a lot of clean sheets. So that's why Fergie suggested that De Gea instead of Sanchez might be a good thing to do.
Mm.
In defense, there wasn't a lot. I mean, there's pretty set template, and that's a very strong template, and you would you would find it difficult to replace any of the the double Chelsea and Cancelo and Trent and have
Mm.
anyone else instead of them. But in case you wanted to free funds and want to fund some other moves, perhaps invest more in midfield, like we talked about last episode, where investing in midfield might be a good idea now and sort of
Yeah.
make you stand out, like how Donatello got in Bernardo before. Now everyone is going to get Bernardo. Uh, so if you wanted to do something like that, Fergie suggested that you could go for Sufal to free a few funds, and so basically switch one of the Chelsea defenders to a Sufal, and that gives you some cash to play around with. So that's a good idea, freeing up funds. I did the
Yeah.
same last week, and then I found myself in a much better position and much more flexible this week. So yeah, that sounds like a
Yeah.
good idea. In midfield, he said that one should avoid KDB, even though KDB was shown to or predicted to get a lot of points in the next few game weeks. But it's a general avoid because his fitness and his form is not really up
Mm.
there. Yeah, Fergie also suggested that one can sell Rafinha with his fixtures being becoming difficult now, and
Yeah.
then you could also get in like a Man City midfielder instead of him. Fergie already has Foden, as we already saw, and he suggested that one can also get Bernardo Silva in addition to Foden and just
Okay.
have them both, so that because City have a good run of fixtures, both of them are in good form, and you get like double the benefit. And this combination is going to be rare, Foden and Bernardo Silva, so it's possible that that gives you the kind of benefit over the next few game
Mm.
weeks. So that was an interesting proposition as well, to have both Foden and
Yeah.
Bernardo Silva. Finally, coming to the forward, I think this is a debate that's featured on every single podcast that I've listened to at least this week, is
Mm.
King versus Dennis amongst the Watford forwards. And
Yeah.
oh my God, it's been such a such a weird debate because it looks like most of the content creators are highly favoring King over Dennis.
Yeah,
Uh, and even though Dennis has outscored King in terms of FPL points in the last 3 or 4 game weeks,
yeah,
so it's a really weird debate. I think it's like this battle of people who watch the games, seeing Dennis playing really well and getting into good positions to score, and in fact obviously also scoring, that the eye test sort of gives Dennis the more favor than the, let's say, the underlying stats that a lot of these
Uh-huh.
content creators look at. And there are all sorts of arguments coming both ways. So for example, I mean, most content creators are giving some statistical arguments to King.
mm,
Like, for example, King has a lot more expected goal involvement, which is essentially his ability to participate in goal scoring chances and assist creating chances more than Dennis. But Dennis, for
Yeah.
example, has outperformed his expected goal involvement by a lot. And so, like, Dennis's form is potentially unsustainable because over the long run he's not going to score as many goals, or that's going to even out or whatever. But the interesting point, and a lot of people also, I mean, basically people who play FPL and watch the games are more towards the eye test sort of style of play. They are like, but Dennis is scoring FPL points, so I mean, it has nothing to do with the stats. If he's scoring FPL points, just go for him. uh,
yeah,
so it's like sort of a weird debate, and I think there are good arguments on both sides because now Dennis and King are very close in price. uh, One can have this debate. I think Dennis was much cheaper a couple of game weeks ago, and at that time, if you wanted more money, it was just an easy no-brainer to go for Dennis rather than King. But now the price is comparable, and so people are having
yeah,
the debate. And also, Dennis is probably going to go to the African Cup of Nations. But again, that is still a doubt because there is a lot of turmoil when it comes to the Nigerian football team, and there's not a
yeah.
final team decided. So even though he might go there or not, that's still up in the air. So I mean, I don't know. For me, I have Josh King, you have Josh King as well. So I guess this debate doesn't matter a lot. But
I don't
F-
have Josh King.
oh, you don't?
I
Okay.
have no. I have Broja and Tony and
Ah, right.
Jimenez.
Right, right, right.
But I read a very interesting comment today on one of the content creators' post, which was pushing King more than Dennis. That football is played on grass and not on Excel, and I am a firm believer of that statement because I don't care what your stats say. If a player is in form and is scoring goals, I am going to pick him over any player who has better XG or better XA.
Mm-hmm.
That's my opinion on it, and it has been forever because I've watched games and I've seen that Dennis is a far better player than King. He gets in really good positions and is he's the second highest scoring forward, just 2 points behind Vardy, 75 points, and King is 54 points. There is no
Mm.
comparison here. I think it's very obvious who you should pick, but these stats get in the way. But again, to each his own. I am a firm believer that I'd rather get the eye test rather than the stats,
Yeah.
which doesn't make any sense because you know it,
Yeah.
he's outperforming and you have to make the most of it. You don't, it's
Exactly.
like he's scoring goals every week. Why wouldn't you have him in the team and then go for the other one who's not doing anything?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. I mean, we had
so
such great examples even last season, right? I mean, Gundogan and Lingard
yeah,
last season were on this amazing form for like 6, 7 or 8 game weeks where it was they were must haves. And
yeah,
if one looks at the underlying numbers, and which I did, I went back and took a look at both of their XGs. It's like, for example, Gundogan managed to score like 11 goals in like 7 or 8 game weeks, whereas his XG was like 6. And
Mm,
Lingard scored like 7 goals when his XG was 4. But it was like, at that moment, it was like a no-brainer to have Gundogan and Lingard because they're scoring points, and at that point, stats don't matter. But suddenly, when one has a strong opinion about owning one player, then you can just say that yeah, the stats say this, stats say that, and just mold the story and stats into the favor of your whatever instinctive choice. So I don't know. I mean, I feel it's a bit superficial, and I think both are fine. I have Josh King simply because you know uh, I am sort of having him for a long term benefit. So even if Dennis goes to the African Cup of Nations, I'm covered for that. And yeah, apart from that, it doesn't matter. I think if Dennis was cheaper, I may have gone for him to free up more cash. But it's okay. I mean, we followed the content creator last week who said King is a better pick. So I mean, we went with that.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to get those 10-point hauls once or twice in the next few game weeks. No doubt about that. I mean, he's a striker. He's going to get those goals sometime, and then that's when these content creators will be like, "Oh, we told you so." But again, that's going to be like once in 20 matches, which you know doesn't make sense to me. So again, it's I think people should take form into consideration rather than stats, which make no sense at all in the current situation. And if you want points which actually make you win FPL, you should go for Dennis, is what I would suggest.
Damn it if I had this insight last week. But anyway, no worries. Hopefully, the content creator's prophecy comes true and King gives me those points. But anyway, let's
I
see.
mean, now that we have ranted, something is bound to happen. So
Yeah, exactly. We are doing this for our own benefit. Anyway, coming to the final question and the main title of our pod is if is it time for Ronaldo or is it Ronaldon't? Well, Fergie is of the opinion that Ronaldo is sort of a maybe.
Mhm.
It's because if he said that if you want to replace Kane, yeah, then it's probably a good option because now Kane is not playing this game week, so Ronaldo is bound to score a lot of points. So just one can just replace Kane to Ronaldo. But if you have someone else like a Vardy, and or if you have a sort of a general uh, forward lineup that's made up of no, like none of the premium forwards, just like the cheaper options, then
Mm.
then Ronaldo is not really an essential. You can still
Right.
wait it out and see what happens. Maybe you can just do the midfielder changes and have good midfielders like Foden and Bernardo
Yeah.
Silva together, and so on and so forth. So Ronaldo is sort of a maybe in his opinion. So
Mhm.
yeah, so these were all of Fergie's suggestions and sort of transfer picks, and yeah, so then let's take a look at what each of us did with our own teams. Starting with your team first.
So I just made one change, which was my goalkeeper Sanchez. I swapped him for De Gea because Fergie's suggestion, and I feel like United have good fixtures, fixture run coming up: Norwich, Brentford, and I think I forgot the third match. But these are the teams that they can definitely keep clean sheet against. Yeah, last game week was, I think, the first game week after the first match that they were able to keep a clean sheet. So I hope the trend continues. So that's the only change in my team. I'm going for a 4-4-2. Decided to hold on to Son. As I said, I don't want to jump on the Ronaldo bandwagon yet. If he scores a hat trick against Norwich, I will definitely think about it next game week. But now I am not going to, get tempted by it. So 4-4-2. Salah captain, Bernardo vice captain, and decided to play Broja ahead of Livramento as it's Arsenal. So I guess they will concede with the current form that they are in.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's my team for game week 16.
Oh yeah, looks good. Yeah, I guess Jimenez, you anyway are ready that he probably blanks, but
Yeah.
But you're just choosing to hold on to Son because hopefully Spurs play the next match and he's fine. We probably
That
never
and
got a list of players who were affected, right? Actually, so
no,
that's
that
not been
yeah,
revealed.
that's the reason. And then I also didn't want to take a hit. So
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, makes sense. No, anyway, maybe if Son is bound to have two double game weeks actually because they didn't
yeah.
play the Burnley fixture and now the Brighton
Yeah.
fixture. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know when those games will be scheduled, but uh,
mm,
and anyway, as you said, you can free up those funds. But were you not tempted to go for a Son down to Foden? That's probably going to pay
I
out in the
was.
next.
I
Yeah.
was. But I he was substituted at
Ah, yeah,
46 minute in the Champions League
yeah.
game, and
He's
I don't know if he's fully fit. I don't
yeah.
want to be a victim of Pep Roulette, so I just decided to
Yeah.
take it on the chin this time, whatever happens. So
Fair
not
enough.
gonna bother making any further changes.
Yeah, fair enough. You've had good weeks, so it's okay
Yeah.
to just have a
Yeah.
normal game
It's okay to
week.
have one bad one. That's fine because of the
Yeah.
circumstances.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds good. All right, coming to my team, I also made just one change. It was time for me to follow in your footsteps and get Bernardo, and obviously I got rid of Rafinha
Yeah.
because his fixtures are worsening now. So
Yeah.
Rafinha to Bernardo, and obviously I had freed up cash last game week so that I could make these moves. So pretty straightforward move, and yeah, and so I'm also going with a 4-4-2. Our defense is the same, and I'm finally starting Josh King against Brentford, and hopefully our rant works and I get some points. Uh, and obviously I have Vardy as my striker, and so I'm not going down the Ronaldo route, even though
Mm,
I think I had the cash. But Vardy
yeah.
against Newcastle is fine. He's actually my vice captain, so uh, I think he'll do fine. And Salah is my captain, obviously, and I have Gallagher also starting in my midfield. Yeah, so I've obviously
I
kept Tony on the bench as well. So
mm,
we'll deal with that problem if he's a
I actually like your forwards, man. I mean,
yeah.
Vardy and King. I mean, if they fire,
Yeah.
you're gonna get shitloads of points. So
Yeah. I
yeah,
think for me the strikers are the differentials. Everyone else is
yeah,
in the template.
yeah.
So I need
And
to
now
have those
that we've
differentials.
ranted against King, I mean, fingers crossed for you.
Yeah.
You get like the good points from him, so that you're back on
Yeah,
the
back on track.
bandwagon.
Yeah. Yes. Sounds good. So yeah, so those are our teams. Then coming to our predictions for this game week, we'll quickly run through our sort of score predictions for this game week. I think once again we are in total agreement throughout,
I think we're
except
just disagreeing on the last match,
yeah,
Crystal Palace versus Everton.
yeah, where I think that I think Everton's win last week was um just a anomaly.
Arsenal let them win. That was the
Exactly,
bottom line. Like they scored
exactly.
the goal, they switched off, and it was just the home crowd and the momentum that suddenly shifted, and
Yeah.
it was one of those nights. So that was all down to Arsenal.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I think Crystal Palace will bounce back and they'll win that one 2-0. Apart from that, we are in total agreement. Maybe a clean sheet here and there is what we have sort of.
I'm looking forward to the Liverpool Villa match because return of
Yeah,
Stevie G. So
yeah,
let's interesting to see how that goes.
yeah. It'll be really interesting. I think the crowd is going to be really awesome for that match.
Yeah.
So yeah, looking forward to it. So yeah, so those are our predictions, and let's see how the matches go, and we'll see how the game weeks are for both of us. So yeah, so then that's it for this week's pod. We'll be back again on Monday because there's a short turnaround once again. So we'll have another episode on Monday as well. So yeah, so good luck to everyone. Hope you have a good game week. Don't think too much about trying to get too many hits. Just make one or two changes that make the team good enough for this game week. So yeah,
Yeah,
so then
just as Arteta says, trust the process.
yeah,
Keep your teams intact. Don't take hits. Don't get swayed by all the talks.
yeah,
Just stick to what you're doing. I think you'll be fine.
yeah, and all hail Emmanuel Dennis. well, well, good luck everyone, and I hope you have a nice game week. And yeah, so it's good luck and goodbye from me.
Good luck.